You're here to make a significant announcement.
I've registered as an Arizona independent. I know some people might be a little bit surprised by this, but actually I think it makes a lot of sense. You know, a growing number of Arizonans and people like me just don't feel like we fit neatly into one party's box or the other.
What an interesting adjustment for Senator Sinema. Now, we know that she has been a Republican in Democrats' clothing for a long time. And now she's a Republican in independent clothing. We'll get more into that. But first, let's watch what she had to say about how this would affect the Democrats' majority in the Senate.
Ever since Senator Warnock was reelected earlier this week, the balance of power right now is 51 Democrats or 51 votes for the Democratic Party. What you're doing today doesn't change that. It's still basically going to be 51-49.
Well, I know you have to ask that question, Jake, but that's kind of a DC thing to worry about. What I'm really focused on is just making sure that I'm doing what I think comports with my values and the values of Arizonans.
Your values, huh? I think most Americans would like better wages because right now corporate profits are at an all-time high and they're spending less than ever as a proportion of their revenue on labor. People are having their labor exploited. And let's remember how Kyrsten Sinema decided to stand up for her values when it came to raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Let's watch.
Ms. Sinema.
A big thumbs down. So while Kyrsten Sinema was busy denying people a livable wage with a very dramatic statement there on the floor of Congress, here's where Arizona stands nationwide in some key areas. So healthcare, 21st in the nation. Education, 46th in the nation. Opportunity, 40th. Infrastructure, 23rd. Fiscal stability, 40th, and this is according to the US News and World Report. This is a senator who has sided with the GOP on numerous occasions. Look at this headline from just August of this year. Sinema has cut big deals with Republicans. Can she do it with her own party? Democrats are seeking to pass a sweeping climate, healthcare, and tax package that will require support from all 50 senators on their side of the aisle, putting a spotlight on centrist Kyrsten Sinema. So either she just likes the attention or she really likes doing the bidding of corporate America. Let's look at this headline from January. Arizona Democrats censure Senator Kyrsten Sinema for blocking voting rights bill. This is for the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Now, the White House also released a statement playing off of Sinema's switch up. This is from the White House press secretary. Senator Sinema has been a key partner on some of the historic legislation President Biden has championed over the last 20 months, from the American Rescue Plan to the bipartisan infrastructure law, from the Inflation Reduction Act to the CHIPS and Science Act, from the PACT Act to the Gun Safety Act to the Respect for Marriage Act, and more. We understand that her decision to register as an independent in Arizona does not change the new Democratic majority control of the Senate, and we have every reason to expect that we will continue to work successfully with her. Now, there are some that are not really buying this move from Sinema. Let's look at some tweets from some key operatives. People for Bernie said, "This is our independent senator, couldn't agree more." And then we have Mondaire Jones saying, "She couldn't let Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock get a full week of attention. We just won in Georgia. We just clinched that majority. And now she's making this announcement that she's changing things up." And I really like this take from David Sirota, who said, "The Sinema news is two very simple things. One, a narcissist's desperate cry for attention. And two, a politician's desperate tactic to get to a general election without a primary." So the idea that Kyrsten Sinema could run for the presidency on a national level is something people are thinking about. And then from someone you may have heard of, someone named Senator Nina Turner said, "Vote blue no matter who" is an opportunity for corporations to buy Democratic seats, and it's a terrible long-term strategy. Sinema is a prime example. This is why Democratic voters must vet politicians better in primaries. That's not purity, it's vetted. If we had actual competitive Democratic primaries, we probably wouldn't be in this position where we've had a Republican senator in Democrats' clothing now turn to independent when we just got a majority in the Senate, which is a majority we need given how the House is looking. Ben, I want to bring you in here. What do you think of Sinema's switch up?
I mean, it's par for the course for her. And as a general concept, I do not mind more and more senators and members of the House becoming independents. I am not a fan of the two-party system. I don't like that we are put into these two monolithic parties that have to think together and act together. I think it kills independent thinking. I think it creates so much of exactly what the tweet from Senator Turner made clear, that we can't just have people based on blue or red. That said, this is not the person to be doing it, and it's not about the move. It's about the fact that with Kyrsten Sinema, it seems very clear that she will be doing this to be even more Republican than she already is. I mean, she often already sits with the Republicans during floor votes. She said she's not sure if her desk on the Senate floor will move to the Republican side. Sure, sounds like totally you're just doing it for the reason of being more independent, and it's what Arizonans want. The only thing I can say that maybe makes us feel a little bit better about this is that we're lucky to even have this Republican in independent clothing, just because Arizona has not had a Democratic senator before her for a very long time. And so if this is the best you can get, at least sometimes she sides with Democrats on some important things. You know, she helped get infrastructure done. She helped, she's now working on immigration reform. Maybe that'll happen. But overall, this is not a good development, and it is pretty darn ridiculous that she had to do it immediately when the Democrats finally picked up a seat. For the first time, a sitting president picked up a seat in the Senate, I think since 1914 or something, had to rain on that parade. Par for the course, disappointing.
Yeah. I mean, between Mark Kelly and Sinema, I'd take another Mark Kelly over Sinema any day when we talk about like Democrats coming out of Arizona. You're not gonna get someone who's an extremely progressive Democrat for a statewide race in a state like Arizona. But let's remember, like, Sinema used to be a progressive. Like, she was affiliated with the Green Party and was very, big in the anti-war movement. And it seems that the more she's been entrenched in the DC culture, the more she's done the bidding of lobbyists and corporations in the United States. And I think being an independent is good when you have people like Bernie Sanders, who wants to decide on policies based on the issues and not just vote with a particular party, especially when it comes to key issues like raising the minimum wage. But we know someone like Kyrsten Sinema is more of a centrist, which doesn't say a lot for you in the United States of America, because our center would be on the far right in any other modern democracy in the world. And so when you have someone like Kyrsten Sinema who's a centrist, I mean, really you have someone who's voting against the interests of working people in the United States. And it's crazy how DC can change someone so much. And it does seem like there's something bigger at play here, because she could have just remained a Democrat and kept doing what she was doing. Like, hey, if you want another vote for your side, you know what, give me a little bit more money and I'll think about how I want to vote on this issue. She really played the middle of the line in the same way Joe Manchin does. And so this switch, does it really change how she's going to vote on legislation? I'm not sure, but it seems that there's a larger political move at play here. Like, do you think she's gonna run, Ben?
I don't think she's gonna run for president. She claims she's not. Obviously, that doesn't mean very much, but I think she probably is mostly doing it. I think that tweet was right, that it's for attention. It's because she loves wielding outsized power, as does Joe Manchin, but also it's because she wants to avoid a primary in 2024 when she undoubtedly, even though she says she doesn't know, undoubtedly runs for re-election for the Senate and wants to be able to skip right over progressive candidates trying to take her down, and she'll just have to face them in the general then. And yeah, so that's my prediction. And it's just so annoying. You can't have 1 week of positive news when it comes to maybe getting a little bit more progress towards progressive causes in the Senate. It has to be spoiled by the spoilers. Manchin and Sinema should start an undertaker firm or a mortuary house. Come to the mortuary house of Manchin and Sinema. We'll give you discounts on killing your dreams and burying your loved ones. Not ideal.
Brilliant. And in conclusion with this story, just a big congratulations to Reverend Raphael Warnock, because even though this doesn't mean, with Sinema switching over, that we might not technically have a majority, whatever it is, the people in Georgia deserve good representation, and it's good that they have Warnock instead of Walker in the Senate.
And it's not a full loss for Herschel Walker. He gets to go back to being a fake sheriff full time.
Yeah, he gets to go back home to Texas. So
pull his badge out and act like Walker, Texas Ranger.